From the studios of Foxborough Cable Access, located in the center of Foxborough, Massachusetts, you are watching Around Foxborough.
Welcome to Around Foxborough. My name is Juri. Today, I'm your host, and I'm very excited to be here. We have a fantastic guest today. We have wonderful actors actually from New York City. They are originally from Massachusetts, but they are working on very exciting projects. So we're going to find about that. So speaking of which, on my left, we have Alex Pires. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for coming. And then we have Richie Wingert.
Hello. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for coming all the way from New York. So where do you guys live?
In New York?
Yeah.
I live in Brooklyn.
And how about you?
I'm living in the Upper West Side of Manhattan.
But you guys, I know, are originally from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So where is that from? Where are you from?
I was born and raised in New Bedford.
New Bedford.
Yeah.
And how about you?
Hyde Park, born and raised, yeah.
Wonderful. So please tell us about the project that you're working on and then your title. So why don't we start with Alex?
Okay. I am the creator, writer, and star, and a bunch of other hyphens, but most importantly, those three, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Richard Wingert. Obviously, we established that in the beginning. But yeah, I'm the executive producer to the show. Alex was very kind enough to have me jump aboard and see what I can do to be a part of the team. So, yeah.
Wonderful. So the show, Peas in Pod, we're going to watch it later. But tell me about the idea. How did you come up with this idea? I know, Alex, you are the creator.
Yes. So it started off as just a bunch of sketches that I had written when I first moved to the city, New York City, in 2015. And it just kind of changed over time with several creative partners trying to figure out what it was. And I'm not sure what the exact inspiration was, but I finally landed on the idea that like a male-female dynamic where they're strictly platonically friends and not not lovers, or they don't have any sort of like romantic sexual energy, because you've seen that so many times in so many other sitcoms. And then once I landed on that idea, I was able to change the sketches that I had into scripts that applied to the show, and more of a formal storyline, so to speak, kind of came about, and then it eventually became what it is now.
So what is Peas in Pod means, like the title? How did you come up with the title itself?
Oh man, there were a bunch of titles in the process, but we landed where we needed something that was catchy. You know, the title of your show, you want to be catchy, and the term "peas in a pod" is already a thing, and I think it really exemplifies what the dynamic of these two lead characters are. They're two peas in a pod. So instead of just keeping it as is, we had the characters' names both start with P. So instead of P-E-A-S, and then, like the normal phrase, it's P''S in a pod. So just kind of a play on the phrase and a fun way to say these two are best friends.
And I know you are a writer also / actor in the show.
Right.
And then what is your character's name? And then what's the counterpart? What's the name of the actress?
Yeah, so the character I play is Pete for Peter, and the Stephanie Winland, who plays my opposite, her character's name is Polly. So Pete and Polly, the two P's of Peas in a Pod. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, you handled it really well.
Yes, I did. With poise, I'd like to say.
Yeah,
another P.
Exciting. So Richie, how did you meet Alex, and how did you get involved in this project, and when?
Sure, yeah. Alex and I have known each other for, it's been about 5 years at least.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, we worked together in Massachusetts a couple of times before, and I knew right away that I liked him. I knew he was always going to be a friend. Most recently I moved to New York, and Alex just was doing this crowdfunding for his web series. At that time, I think you shot the first 2 episodes? First episode, the pilot. Which I was actually an extra on. And I saw the way he kind of handled himself and his crew. And I thought this was like a really wonderful opportunity. to see what I can bring to the table. After me and Alex spoke, we realized that we just had like a really good back and forth. I was never going to touch his vision, what he wanted, but I wanted to contribute. I wanted to collaborate. I wanted to be a part of the overall big picture. And ever since then, it just prospered. We just finished our 6th episode of shooting, and that was last week. Working on the next 2 episodes, hopefully by the end of this month, first part of November, and that will finish our series, where then we'll be able to send it to festivals and hopefully get some awards and pitch it to some of the bigger streaming services.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So can you guys tell us your background a little bit? Like, are you guys model, like actor or writers? Just, brief background to our audience.
Sure, yeah. I've been performing my whole life, but I chose the practical route of medicine. I went to Mass College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences for about 15 minutes to be a physician assistant, and quickly realized that was not going to be the route. And so I left and chased acting, which I really wanted to do, and just jumped right into it. So, from the time I was a kid till now, I've kind of done it all in terms of, acting, modeling, writing, all the different types of projects that you can act in, and so on. Saved up enough money after doing that in like the Boston market to move to New York, and like I said, I've been there since 2015.
Did you have an agency in Massachusetts, and do you have an agency in New York right now?
I had a
too?
few. I mean, I was working professionally in Massachusetts for a few years, so I kind of shuffled around with the different reps that are around. There aren't too many in Boston, since it's sort of a sub-market for acting and just film and that sort of a thing. So it was really just kind of learning the ropes, I'd say, in Boston. A lot of my smaller indie things, my first couple web series were here, student films, short films.
Sure.
A lot of print commercial work is here in Boston. So I did a lot of that. And so that money from those commercials and print stuff and whatever got me that money. But yeah, and then since moving to New York, I had a bunch of different reps too. So it just always kind of changes. I mean, it would be great to be with like the same rep your entire life, but I feel like, at least for me, it's been like I change reps like underwear. So you just, it's just whoever is going to be the best fit and work for you, work with you the best. So,
Perfect.
Yeah.
So how about Richie?
Yeah, so I actually went to school at Worcester Polytech Institute at WPI.
WPI, yes.
Yes. And so I majored in biomedical engineering, which I got my degree, my bachelor's in that. I was a research assistant at a hospital, thinking medical school. Sort of like the same ideas. So me and Alex get along so well.
We're the same person.
We kind of, yeah. Obvious differences, but he is a little taller than me, so.
Oh yeah, that's definitely
that's the main
defining
difference. Pretty sure. But yeah, always acting. So even while I was studying science and math, which is another passion of mine, I always knew that I really wanted to be a part of the industry in some way or another. Yeah, I've had representation in Massachusetts, and kind of going off of what Alex was saying, Massachusetts was a great place to lay my foundation. Get to a network that really cared about you, and they knew that if they stood behind you, they pushed you in the right direction, that you're always going to have that supportive network. And that's what I see Massachusetts as. It's just a really wonderful family who they'll care about you, and if you need them, you can call on them for anything. And that's what I felt like through Peas in a Pod, and after meeting everyone in the series, I was like, this is just like home. And I knew this is exactly what I wanted to be a part of.
Sure. So I know we have the first episode, I think that we can show it to the audience. And then prior to that, can you please explain like what is the first episode that the audience is going to see, how many actors involved, and then what is background a little bit?
Sure, yeah. The pilot episode was really, this whole thing still was grassroots, but super like pulling in as many favors as you can, convincing everybody who was a part of it that, you're really trying to do something great here. And a bunch of people came along. We had a skeleton crew for that shoot, but I am super proud of what we were able to accomplish with that pilot episode because we paid out of pocket for it. The idea was make the pilot episode and have that be as good as it can be to, inspire people to contribute once we did the Seed and Spark campaign. So in the pilot episode, you're going to see these two characters that are very different, but also similar in a lot of ways, come together on a blind date. And they're perfect on paper, but something just doesn't feel right. And as the date goes on, they sort of figure out what the dynamic is. And I'm not ruining anything by saying that they decide that they're much better off as friends than lovers. And it turns out I need a roommate, or my character needs a roommate, and Stephanie's character needs a room. And so we kind of spontaneously decide to become best friend roommates. And then the show will follow us going through all these different scenarios and dealing with our bizarre idiosyncrasies and learning about each other and growing as just friends, and just sort of eliminating a lot of cliches and tropes and stereotypes, if you will, through the show. So there are a lot of personal messages from the pilot all the way through the rest of the season that a bunch of different people can.
Wonderful. So why don't we watch the show a little bit, and then we're going to come back to the interview. So
Great.
Let's watch.
All right, Pete, be cool. She's only 23 minutes late? I'm a lonely, desperate idiot. Who goes on blind dates anymore?
Lonely desperate idiots, that's who. Polly?
Pete?
Hey. Oh.
Okay. Sorry I'm late.
It's good. I only just got here.
Oh, cool.
Did you have trouble with the train?
Fuck me! Oh my god, there's so many letters. No.
Good. So what brings you to New York?
Well, I got tired of being a farm girl from Wisconsin, so I decided to move to the city and chase my big dreams.
And what are those?
I don't know yet. What do you do for work? What?
I just hate that question. Like, why does society put so much value on occupation, you know?
No way! I think about this like all the time. I only ask because it's first date etiquette.
Really?
Yeah. It's like that's the first thing everyone asks, as if we only amount to our jobs.
Exactly! I blame colonialism.
Preach? Okay. What's your favorite kind of music?
Anything but polka. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
What's your favorite dessert?
Chocolate cake, no question. I'm that chubby little boy from Matilda.
Bruce!
What's the biggest problem in the world?
Easy. The fact that Bigfoots exist and the scientific community denies it.
Bigfoot's plural.
There's obviously more than one. That'll be ridiculous. What's your biggest fear?
Being attacked by birds.
You picked the wrong city then. These birds are aggressive and they are brave.
I'm living life on the edge.
Wow, she's amazing.
I think this could actually go somewhere. Oh, it's like the icy touch of death.
Why do I feel like someone just killed my dog?
Can you get me a beer? I'm gonna go drain the radiator.
Sure, yeah. Drain the radiator.
What's going on here, Polly? He's into you. You're both diabetes bound, and he's got a great sense of humor.
That Bigfoot bit was hilarious.
And you can still see bat marks
It's
right there on the
undeniable.
shoulder from
Come
that
on,
Bigfoot,
people.
And there's two of them.
Something just doesn't feel right. No, you just haven't been on a date in a while, so you're psyching yourself out. Just follow the golden rule. When in doubt, fuck 'em. Then you'll know if it's meant to be.
All right, what's your deal? She's beautiful and intellectual, and her mind is about to be blown by this Bigfoot documentary. This is much better than your last date.
So do you ever drop the whole young Obama thing?
Let me be clear.
This is just the way I talk. This is not the Wakandan way. I am your king now.
I'll show you out of order. This whole restaurant's out of order.
Well, you know, these impressions usually kill.
Hoorah!
Wow. Thought this was going really well.
Whatever. Can I just have that? You know what? Bring the bottle. Just the. Yep.
It's gotta be something, though. Ah, you haven't done the whole lust and thrust in a while. It's fine.
Just rub out the quick one in the bathroom.
Where were we?
Well, I never actually told you what I do.
Do you want to go back to your place?
Yes, we can.
Obama. Funny.
Gosh, it's cold in here.
Is this okay?
Yeah. Let's just do this thing, yeah?
Okay, yeah. Get it into gear, bucko. This isn't your first rodeo. Why are you acting so crazy? Sorry, thought I had to sneeze.
It's totally fine.
What's wrong with you? Just kiss him. You'll figure it out in the cab ride home.
I had hair in my teeth.
Oh, that's cool.
Ow! I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
I don't usually.
No, I get it.
Okay.
Yeah. Just.
I can't do this.
What? You first.
Okay, this whole time something has felt off and I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I hate to use this excuse, but I think we're better off as friends. I'm so relieved. I mean, no offense, but I'm softer than a cashmere sweater down there.
God, no, I'm like really dry. Like California dry. Yeah, it hurts.
Okay.
Okay, well, back to Jersey. It's been really fun, though.
That's a long trip.
Yeah. I kind of moved here on a whim, so I don't really know anyone. Living with my mom's ex-boyfriend. He works at Rutgers.
That's weird.
Yeah. Dying to get my own place.
Yeah, my roommate's actually moving out next week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Stop me if I'm being too forward. We barely know each
I
other.
would love to be your roommate. I will be so good. I literally have no friends.
Well, okay, cool. Well, not you having no friends, but...
It's,
but,
oh,
you
no,
know,
no, no.
you-
It's cool. All right. What the fuck?
So that was a fantastic episode. I really loved how these two characters interact with each other, and I really enjoyed the platform, and then New York, and then the vibe, and and then great acting, obviously. So, what do you think as an executive director? So you have this pilot that we just watched. Mm-hmm. What did you think? What's leading it to? After watching this episode, what can the audience expect after this?
Well, I think the first and foremost thing to think about when you watch that pilot is really production value. You can see that the work has been put in, and the team that went around it to make it what it is fantastic. Obviously, you have incredible actors, and you also have a well-knit crew, and that's really what it takes to kind of take this from where it is to make it even better. And if this is our standard, you can only imagine with the right emphasis and the right network that it can only get better from here. And so that's why I see it being able to being produced as a whole and as a series, and taking it from season to season to season, and just knowing all the different ideas that can be expanded on could just make this so much better. So that's how I see it.
But were you involved making on this pilot episode, or you came on later?
Yeah. So.
But you were in the show too.
I was just an extra in the beginning, and when I noticed sort of the idiosyncrasies of like how the jokes were put together, and just knowing Alex's and Stephanie's sort of chemistry, that is rare to kind of see that, and I knew that both of them that was what was going to make this show work. I mean, you can obviously see how they work together and how wonderful it is just to be, you see it on screen, but even behind the scenes, they work so well together too. So it's that feeling of openness that is just very inviting. And,
yes, absolutely. Yeah. And Alex, I know you mentioned that you guys met at the acting school in New York, or like Stephanie in New York. Yeah.
Yeah, so I trained with Anthony Abeson in New York City, and so for anybody who doesn't know who he is, just quickly, he's one of the last like truly good gurus of acting that are left like on the planet. He trained personally with like Stella Adler, Lee Strasberg, Jerzy Grotowski, Peter Brook, Harold Klerman. Like, he knew these people intimately, and so I did a 2-year program with him. Stephanie came along about halfway through that program because it's a rolling admission, so we met sort of cross paths, and I knew that she would just be great for this, and so I approached her and said, hey, I'm doing a comedy series, and before I could even finish the statement, she was like, I'm in! So I was like, great, and she's great, she's so funny, and that's why I asked her. When I saw her work in class, I was just like, this is the exact kind of energy that I need for this show, because even though it deals with very real things, I mean, it's a comedic lens, so we need to give people the truth about things, but we also need to make them laugh.
Sure.
And I think that she was a good choice in terms of playing the character and matching my energy and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. So how can people find out about the show? Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, both of those. And, we just constantly keep producing different materials that we'll always be posting. On Instagram, it's at Peas in a Pod Series. You can easily find us on Facebook just using the same Peas in a Pod comedy series. And there's got to be some other stuff, right?
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Those are like the main things. Yeah.
So would people be able to see all the episodes on the Facebook or like YouTube account? Like how can people watch the show?
Right. So we have the pilot episode and actually another episode available called Take My Money on YouTube and Vimeo.
Okay.
So if you actually want to watch this show, you just Peas in a Pod series, Peas in a Pod, Alex Pires, Richard Wingert, whatever, and you'll find those 2 episodes within our channel. Once we're done with the entire season, we're going to have that completely up as a channel for everybody to watch in order, and that'll be done ASAP, but we're super easy to find.
Okay, great. And then how many episodes are you trying to film like for this time? Like, I know you shot 6.
Right, so it'll be 8 altogether. And every single episode's gonna have a different theme to it, but it's really just Pete and Polly going through these experiences together and how they kind of deal with the issues that come along with the stereotypes that may belong to one person. Wonderful.
So what are the challenges of shooting in the New York City? And I know we talked about scouting, like locations and like, scheduling and all that. Like, what is the biggest challenge of like making the film in New York City?
All of it. It's so titles I think are irrelevant when you're doing the indie thing, so to speak, in the sense that like Richard is the executive producer and I'm the creator, but we're both very much in charge of just getting this whole thing done. So coordinating everybody's schedules, finding the specific locations that we need, managing the budget, paying out everybody that needs to be like paid. I mean, just every single aspect of this is so difficult. in an exciting way. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's definitely challenging when it's your first time doing this. Neither of us has ever show run anything, but nonetheless a web series that we were sort of the heads of. So it has been quite interesting to figure out how to do this as efficiently as possible.
Challenging but fun, and I've definitely learned a great deal. So I couldn't be happier really sharing this experience with someone who I consider my best friend now. So it's just one of those things that you just keep pushing through, no matter what obstacle kind of happens. Like, I believe Alex is going to handle it with poise and class, and I think he thinks the same of me.
So what is your vision for this episode series to grow in maybe 1 year, 5 years, maybe 10 years? What do you envision yourself with this?
I've always wanted to make this first indie season with the best quality possible. So we're going to do that and have that be out for the world to see. We're going to do the festivals. So it's going to be blasted all over the place as best as we can. After that, we want to pitch it to some of the most prominent production companies and studios and whatnot to get it picked up on a major platform, whether that's a streaming service, since those are really blowing up these days, or network or cable, who knows. We'll obviously negotiate once we get to that point, but it needs to be on a major platform because I think we have a nice blend of what everybody loves about comedies and sitcoms and that sort of a thing, mixed in with a modern agenda with very different looking people in front of the camera, behind the camera, secondary and tertiary characters as well, being very important and diverse. And so I think that audiences will really enjoy seeing this on a major platform. So that's the goal.
Yes, absolutely. So Richie, I know you kind of mentioned about maybe Hulu, Apple TV, those kind of big names that maybe after the episodes produced, what do you want to go after,
Sure. So yeah, just to reiterate off of what Alex was saying, the most important thing is for people to like it and see if we're really right on track. And you only know that by really sending it out there and getting the criticism, letting people to take a look at it, have them give your opinions, because every opinion matters. I'm not looking for everyone to like the show, although I think that they should. I hope so. But I understand if people have their own takes on it, and I just want to be a part of I want to have a voice in some way or another in this industry, in the climate that we are in right now. And I feel that this is my best opportunity to have that voice, being the person behind the scenes to promote the things that I want to say, but through the lens of Alex and him as a creator.
Sure. So we are out of time, actually. So I want to give you an opportunity for the last word for our audience. So let's start with Alex.
Oh boy, a lot of pressure. I just want to say, for anybody who's watching this interview and for anybody who continues to find and watch the show, no matter who you are, I think you have something to take away from the show. Every episode has a theme or a message or somebody that might look like you or somebody that you can get behind. It's a combination of stuff like Scrubs and Psych and Monk and Cheers and all those fun shows that we love, but again has a modern agenda and all kinds of different people behind and in front of the camera that you're seeing and hearing different stories, and your marginalized people are being celebrated instead of exploited like they have been previously. So if you join us on this journey, you're not going to regret it, and we're going to have success with this show no matter what. So I'd rather have you on board than the alternative. So.
And I got on the board as well.
You did get on board.
Yes, you did. Thank God.
Thank you.
So
Thank you for
I'm very
seeing
excited about it.
Yeah.
Yes, and how about you?
The only thing I would add to what Alex was saying is that to always keep in mind that we wouldn't be where we are without our team. And I could not be more grateful for every single person who has pitched in, small or large, but everyone has made a real impact, and I haven't forgot about any single one of them. So moving forward, it's just they're part of the family now.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very, very much for coming all the way from New York to Foxborough, Foxborough cable access and around Foxborough. And we are so happy to have you watch our fantastic episode. If you missed the episode, you can always go to fcatv.org and then video on demand. So please visit us. And I want to thank Paul Beck as our director, Michael Weber as our executive director, and Alan Eisner, and Sadako Saito, and Lauren Bitar, Margaret Nash. I volunteer here as well, and then producing a show called What's Up from Foxborough Youth Production, so please check that too. But thank you again for coming to our show.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. This was awesome.
Thank you.